Everyone knows Tyrannosaurus rex, the Tyrant King, arguably the most famous dinosaur ever discovered. But what if I told you that there was another king, another T-rex? The difference, however, is that unlike Tyrannosaurus, this one didn't rule on land, it ruled the oceans. Around 80 million years ago, while dinosaurs dominated the continents, a giant marine reptile hunted through the warm waters of what is now Texas. It had a massive skull, powerful jaws, finely serrated teeth, and a body that could reach the length of a school bus. For decades, its fossils were hiding in plain sight, simply misidentified as another species of mosasaur. But now scientists have given it a name. Meet Tylosaurus rex, the king of the Tylosaurs. And yes, officially its shortened name is T.rex. The fossils behind Tylosaurus rex weren't pulled from the ground last week. That's actually one of the most interesting parts of this story. Many of them had been sitting in museum collections for years and in some cases decades, labelled as Tylosaurus proriger, a famous species of mosasaur known from the Late Cretaceous of North America. But when researcher Amelia Zietlow and her colleagues re-examined the material, something didn't quite fit. These fossils were bigger, and they were younger. They came mostly from Texas rather than Kansas, and most importantly, they had features that separated them from Tylosaurus proriger, including finely serrated teeth, which are unusual among mosasaurs. The new species was described from more than a dozen previously known fossils, including a giant specimen at the Perot Museum of Nature and Science in Dallas. That specimen, discovered in 1979 near Lake Ray Hubbard, is now the holotype, meaning that it is the name-bearing fossil of the species. So this wasn't just a random tooth or fragment being hyped beyond recognition. This was a serious reclassification of major fossil material, and it reveals that one of the biggest marine predators from the Cretaceous had been sitting right under our noses for years. Firstly, let's clear something up. Tylosaurus rex, as I have mentioned, was a mosasaur, not a dinosaur. Mosasaurs were giant marine reptiles that lived during the Late Cretaceous period, and despite often being thrown into the same mental box as dinosaurs, they were actually closer relatives of modern lizards and snakes. They had long, streamlined bodies, powerful tails, paddle-like limbs, and schools built for grabbing, tearing, and swallowing prey in open oceans. Tylosaurus itself was already one of the most famous mosasaur genera. The name means knob lizard, referring to the blunt, toothless projection at the front of its snout. That reinforced snout may have helped it ram, strike, or absorb impact during feeding and combat. But Tylosaurus rex appears to have been something especially formidable. Its name means king of the Tylosaurs, and honestly, it earns it. So, onto the numbers. Researchers estimate Tylosaurus rex ranged from around 25 to 43 feet long. That's roughly 7.7 to 13.2 meters in length. At the upper end, you're looking at an animal about the length of a school bus. For comparison, a large great white shark might reach about 20 feet. Tylosaurus rex could be roughly twice that length. And compared with Tylosaurus proriger, the species that it had been mistaken for, T.rex was consistently larger. The new study estimates T. proriger at around 3.9 to 9.5 meters, while T.rex specimens fall between 7.7 and 13.2 as mentioned. Now, as always, size estimates in extinct animals come with some caution. Fossils are incomplete, individuals vary, preservation can bias what we find. But taking all of that into account, this was a huge animal by all accounts, one of the largest mosasaurs currently known. Size alone, however, does not make a predator terrifying. A whale shark is enormous, but isn't exactly tearing animals apart. It's not a predator at all, in fact. Tylosaurus rex was different. The fossils show a suite of adaptations linked to powerful jaw and neck muscles. That matters because mosasaurs didn't chew like mammals. They seized prey, tore into it, and swallowed large pieces. A stronger skull, stronger jaw system, and stronger neck would have made Tylosaurus rex a brutal feeding machine. And then there were the teeth. The new species had finely serrated teeth, which is uncommon among mosasaurs. Serrations are useful because they help slice through flesh more efficiently, creating a cutting edge rather than a piercing point. That gives us a picture of an animal built not to just grab prey, but to do serious damage once it had hold of it. Fish, turtles, sharks, other marine reptiles, and possibly smaller mosasaurs could have all been on the menu. And there's another detail that makes this animal even more interesting. It may have been violent towards its own kind. One specimen of Tylosaurus rex housed at the Perot Museum has been nicknamed the Black Knight, and it tells a nasty little story. This animal is missing the tip of its snout and has a fractured lower jaw. According to researchers, that kind of damage was likely caused by another member of the same species. In other words, Tylosaurus rex may not have only been attacking prey, it may have also been fighting other Tylosaurus rexes. That could mean territorial disputes, competition for mates, dominance battles, or simply violent encounters between giant predators sharing the same environment. Modern large predators often carry injuries from their own kind. Crocodiles, sharks, big cats, whales, all of them can brutally fight each other over territory, food, or reproduction rights. So when you see trauma like this on a giant mosasaur, it gives the animal a kind of behavioural reality. It stops being just a skeleton or a fossil, and it becomes something truly alive. It gives us a snapshot into a world where these things swam and behaved alongside one another. It was something that bit, fought, survived, and maybe lost pieces of itself in the process. Around 80 million years ago, much of central North America was covered by the Western Interior Seaway. This was a vast inland sea that split the continent in two, stretching from the Gulf of Mexico towards the Arctic. It was warm, shallow in places, and packed with life. There were fish, sharks, turtles, plesiosaurs, ammonites, and, more importantly, mosasaurs. And in the waters that covered what is now northern Texas, Tylosaurus rex was one of the top predators. This is what makes this discovery so valuable. It doesn't just add another name to a list, it sharpens our picture of an ecosystem. For a long time, some of these fossils were treated as unusually large examples of Tylosaurus proriger, but now they appear to represent a separate species living later in a different region with different anatomical specializations. That changes how we understand mosasaur diversity. It also shows how much information can be locked inside museum collections. Sometimes the next big discovery isn't buried in a cliff face, sometimes it's already sat on a shelf somewhere. The flashy part of this story is obvious. A new marine predator called T.rex is almost impossible not to click on, but the science behind it is more important than the name. This study revisited fossils that had been accepted under older classifications and asked whether the classification actually holds up. That matters because paleontology is not static. Species get revised all the time. Relationships change and old assumptions get tested. Taxonomy has gone through several revisions already. And in this case, the researchers weren't only describing a new species, they were also updating a long-used dataset for studying mosasaur evolution, one that had remained largely unchanged for decades. That means Tylosaurus rex is part of a bigger shift. It's not just we found a cool sea monster, it's we may need to rethink how some of sea monsters are related. And this is exactly how science should work. Now, let's be straight about the name. Calling an animal T-rex is brilliant. It's memorable, technically valid, and instantly tells the public, pay attention. But it also creates a risk, because Tylosaurus rex was not the marine version of Tyrannosaurus rex in a literal evolutionary sense. It wasn't related to Tyrannosaurus at all. It didn't live on land and it wasn't a dinosaur. The connection is in the name and the role. A giant apex predator, a king within its own environment and compared to its relatives. An animal big enough, powerful enough, and nasty enough to deserve the comparison. So yes, the new T-rex is a fantastic hook, but the real animal is interesting enough without pretending that it's something that it wasn't. Tylosaurus rex was around 25 to 43 feet long, armed with serrated teeth, equipped with powerful jaws and neck muscles, and apparently violent enough to leave battle damage on members of its own species. It lived around 80 million years ago in the ancient seas of North America while dinosaurs were ruling the land above. And for decades, it was hiding in plain sight. Not because the fossils were missing, simply because we hadn't looked at the fossils closely enough. The Cretaceous oceans were already terrifying. Sharks, plesiosaurs, and giant cephalopods. But there were also marine reptiles everywhere you look. Now, there is a king among them. Tylosaurus rex, the other T-rex, and possibly one of the most brutal marine predators of its time. As always, if more research comes out on this animal, I will cover it, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, it would be greatly appreciated, and leave a comment letting me know, would you rather face the land T-rex or the ocean T-rex? But until the next video, stay curious.